Trust your body and let your mind catch up when it comes to decisions, both big and small. Not everything can be rationalized or put on a pro and con board. So trust what's in your body and what it's telling you, and let that lead you in terms of your next steps. Hello and welcome to the Unlock Lab. I'm your host, Tosca DiMatteo, and I am thrilled that you're here. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different than the norm. This is dropping the week of my anniversary, which happens to be on June 19th. And so I want to share a little bit with you about my love story with my husband, Ryan. We have been married for 15 years, but we've been together 20. And there's a lot of, I think, lessons I've learned about relationships and longevity that I think will serve you in your pursuit of personal growth and professional breakthroughs. So before I jump in, let me just say welcome if you're new to the podcast. I'm Tosca DiMatteo, the founder of Tosca Coaching and Consulting, and I'm a speaker and conversation facilitator and one-on-one coach for you to get unstuck and find more fulfillment in your career and life. If you want to learn more about the work I do and how I can serve you or your team or audiences, please visit coachtosca.com. That's coachtosca.com. So my plan for today in this episode is I want to share with you what the journey of my relationship with Ryan has looked like, because I think it's helpful to hear stories like this of how relationships come to be, how they ebb and flow. I think there's also some fun stuff in there. So, and I think, it gives you a little bit of peek behind my life. I'm really open with you and I share a lot, but I don't think on this platform I've shared kind of the story of my husband. He's obviously a big part of my life. Now, the other thing I want to do after I share our story is to share lessons learned from this that will support you in that intersection of personal growth, of building strong relationships and professional breakthroughs. And for sure, having my husband as my rock in my life has enabled so much in my career, not just because of his support, but because of what his stability and safety on all the levels provides me in the ability to do my work and to be my best self wherever I show up. So heart shape sending out to my husband, Ryan Melker. He doesn't know I'm doing this episode to this point. We'll see if he finds out. But okay, so here goes. I was 24 and decided that I wanted to get my MBA. I knew I had a clear direction. I wanted to go get an MBA in marketing so that I could pursue a brand marketing career in consumer packaged goods. Like that was the vision. And before I had my first official class, a friend of mine invited me to a party. And this is a new friend, right? Because I went to Michigan State. So I left the state of New York to go to school. And I went to this party. And right before I went to this party, I had realized this guy that I kind of thought I was interested in had no interest in me. And so I was feeling a little deflated, but I was like, you know what? Forget that. I came here to get an education. I come here to get a man. So I'm going to go to this party. I'm going to have a good time, whatever, right? So I go to this party, and one of the first people I meet is my now husband, Ryan Melker. So I go into this party and, it happened to be his birthday. So August 28th. So I like to say that I was his biggest birthday present ever, but we flirted right away. There was definitely connection right away. And what was interesting was that he had definitely had lots to drink. I mean, by that, I mean, he was doing keg stands and I didn't even know what a keg stand was. Like I had no experience with this type of stuff. In undergrad, I was just like working and getting the piece of paper. And there really was no kind of fun element of undergrad for me. So hence why Michigan State is the school that I chose too, because I knew it had school spirit and all that good stuff. Anyway, I digress. So, normally that would have totally turned me off, right? Oh, this guy's drinking and whatever. But I wasn't holding judgment. I was just like, you know what? This guy has an authentic smile and he just seems fun. And then the night had to end. That was sad. I was like, oh my gosh, like I hope I see him again. And I don't know if we exchanged numbers. I can't remember. But I remember that I took a picture of him on my flip phone. And I know somewhere in the depths of my stuff, I still have that flip phone photo. It was a Verizon phone. I'm telling you, early days, people, I'm dating myself. So the very next day, there was a NBA softball game between first years and second years. And I was the first year and Ryan was the second year. And I saw him right away and I went up to him and started flirting. Except the way that I flirted at the time was that there was a lot of self protection involved. So I was making fun of him. And the very first thing I said to him was, do you even remember my name? So without going into all the details, right? Like it was this like sarcastic, giving him a hard time flirtation approach, which he was not into, by the way. But we ended up dating right away. And fast forward, he graduated first. He moved to New York. I graduated the next year, and my opportunity happened to be in Wisconsin. So, what that means is we were long distance for 2.5 years. That was really tough on both of us, but we got through it. I ended up moving to New York once I landed a job at Unilever. Shortly after I moved, he proposed. So, by this stage, I was 28 and we got married 2 years later. So I had a long engagement. I was in no rush. In fact, like marriage kind of wasn't something that I was a super fan of, but like it meant a lot to him. And so like I came around. We both had corporate jobs for many years. And then around the time of the pandemic, we both became entrepreneurs. And so the dynamics of our life changed over the years, but we engaged in kind of continual repair. And at the end of the day, I think that our ability to come back and communicate and be honest with each other has been what's allowed us to last as long as we have. I mean, not to mention, there's deep love there going both ways. And Ryan just has the most pure heart. He is just like, as much as he puts his foot in his mouth, like, that it wasn't intentional and that his heart always had a good intention, even if he doesn't know what to say sometimes. But I digress. So this is like the short version of like my love story. If you care to hear more of the juicy details, by all means, reach out. But what I really want to talk to you about is the personal growth lessons that I've learned in these 15 years of marriage and 20 years of knowing each other. Because, like I said, we met in August and that will be 20 years this year. Oh my gosh, crazy. Time flies. But I think the first lesson, and I have 8 right now, okay? And randomly 8 because I don't like to force lists and I don't usually do lists, but my podcast editor was like, you should do lists. It helps us. I was like, okay, let me give this a try. So I have 8 things I want to share. I think hopefully you'll take something from it. You'll maybe evaluate your relationships. Maybe you'll evaluate things that you can do differently to create an unlock, to get unstuck in whatever relationship pattern you may be in that's not serving you. Okay, let me first say that the lesson is don't compare yourself to others. And the reason why this is like the very first lesson is because, look, I was never the one with boyfriends in high school, like ever. But I was the first to marry among my core group of friends. So our journey is our own, and comparing yourself to what you think others have or don't have is a complete waste of your energy. I mean, obviously, in retrospect, it's easy for me to say that it was really hard in high school, right? Like, really not having love interests. Uh, you know, I wasn't this epitome of beauty. And besides that, I wasn't confident in the beauty that I carried. And therefore, that led to not having a whole lot of relationships. So, wherever you are in your journey of finding, whether it's friendship or love or spouse or companion, just remember your journey is your own. And you looking at what other people have is a total waste of time. You may end up having something way more special than you could have ever imagined or that you ever saw in any of the folks around you. So just forget about it. Okay, number 2, your heart often knows before your mind does in terms of decision making. And truthfully, I fell in love with Ryan before it actually made sense. It's like I knew it very early on. It's like my soul knew this is the one, but I was like, how can I even like say this or think this or feel this? So trust your body and let your mind catch up when it comes to decisions, both big and small. Not everything can be rationalized or put on a pro and con board. So trust what's in your body and what it's telling you, and let that lead you in terms of your next steps. The third piece is, I love to say this, which is that with true love, there are no buts. There's an interaction that Ryan and I have where he'll say to me, I love you. And I'll say, but, and then he replies, there is no but. And, I think this is part of my healing, right? Which is like, yeah, like there's all these flaws and things wrong with me. So you love me, but what do I got to fix? Or what's wrong with me? And what I want you to take away from this is that you deserve to be loved fully for who you are, flaws included, makeup excluded. Feel safe with the one you love. That is the most important thing. And that's in all the ways you can define safety. And I just love this interaction of like, there are no buts. And you know what? To this day, every time he responds that way, it just makes my heart smile. So, no buts. All right. Number 4, make sure they get the full brief. You have to ask for what you want and need. So, this comes from the proposal. Oh my God, he'll laugh if he hears this. Like, really, she's going to talk about the proposal still? It's freaking 17 years later. But anyway, he kind of botched the proposal, not going to lie. And he knows it. I'm not telling you anything I haven't said before in public. I always love to make fun of him for it. But the truth is, it was botched because I clearly needed to give him a better brief of what mattered most to me. So I think in some, very brief conversation, I was like, well, when it comes to like the proposal, I just, I want to be surprised, like I don't want to see it coming. I don't want one of these cheesy, like put on a really nice dress. We're going to go to a fancy dinner. And then I'm like, oh my God, is this the night? Like, not that I was like waiting for a proposal or anything, but we just had like this random conversation. And that was, something that I emphasized. But I was like, like want it romantic, whatever. But clearly all Ryan heard was that I wanted to be surprised. So let me tell you, he surprised me with a proposal after pissing me off because he told me he had to go to work on Memorial Day. So I went in the shower super pissed, super upset. Like, I can't believe he's working on Memorial Day. And, I come out of the shower, I got my towel wrapped around my hair, I got my towel wrapped around my body. I open the bathroom door and there he is on one knee. Like, you can't make this stuff up. And my response was, are you fucking kidding me? Like, that's literally what I said. Are you fucking kidding me? And I said it a few times. And that threw him all off. And anyway, and he proposed and I paused for like 30 seconds, but of course I said yes. And then what makes it even more of a botched situation is like, it just so happened that my grandpa was going to be staying over our house that night. Like, oh Lord, don't ask me why he chose that night. But the truth is that he was extremely, extremely worried about me finding the ring, because the backstory of that is like less than a week before I had like bought him a new side table and I emptied everything out and I like put it in, but like I didn't find the ring or whatever. And that freaked him out to say, oh my God, like I can't find the ring before he proposes or whatever. So, it all makes sense, right? But like going back to the lesson, make sure they get the full brief. Let the people in your life know what you need and what you want and make sure it's clear so that you have a better chance of getting that experience. But don't worry, he's made it up for me like a million times over with all the romantic experiences that he has planned and such. Okay, number 5. It's healthy to continuously check in. Over the years, we have continuously checked in to see if we're on the same page. Look, this goes for your bosses, it goes for your friendships, it goes for your love interests. And it comes to like those really important things. Like, for example, for us, we did this when it came to like kids. Cause like when I first met him, he wanted kids and then he didn't want kids. I kind of never wanted kids. And we kept checking in. Is this still how you feel? Do you still not want kids? Da, da, da. Same thing with where we live. Are we happy here? Do we want to move? Like all those things. And it's like checking in to see if you are growing together or growing apart. It's checking in to see, hey, have your values changed? Have my values changed? Have your needs or desires changed? And likewise for me. And if we're not having these conversations, then wow, like I think things can go in opposite directions real fast, and then it becomes harder to repair or harder to find that page if you're not just being honest with these things that sometimes shift over time. I mean, you're a different person the day you meet somebody versus the next day, versus let alone 5 years later, 10 years later, 15 years later. So you got to keep checking in. All right, number six is old habits die hard. I can't say this enough. Even with the people we love the most, sometimes we have to ask ourselves what habits are impacting how this relationship is going. And it can be hard to face that truth, but the safest place is with the ones you love and the ones who love you and the ones that are willing to grow and heal with you as many times as you need. So, yeah, Ryan and I have worked on our relationship in a number of different ways, which has included therapy. And we see, oh, there's this pattern. And actually, what's underneath this pattern is something way deeper. And then we get to work through it together. Because let me tell you, you've got your combined traumas coming together, and oftentimes they can explode. So you have to work on it, right? My point being that sometimes you just have to keep coming back to recognizing when patterns are repeating that were actually not helpful or that were harmful, and work on those for those adjustments to be made for each other, not just for you, but for each other. Can't emphasize that enough. Because, healing is not linear, and healing keeps going deeper and deeper each time you come back to those themes that you work through in your life, like abandonment, like people pleasing, all those things. All right, I could talk about this one forever, so I'm just going to move on. So, number seven, it is highly risky to set and forget any relationship, which really ties in with what I'm saying, right? Like every relationship takes work, intention, and when you want it to last a long time, it will likely take lots of repair. You are going to fuck shit up. Like, pardon the French, but you will. And so will your partner. And this also goes, again, all relationships, your boss, your grand boss. A friend of mine likes to say grand boss. I think it's hilarious. Your colleagues, like you may piss some people off. You may say the wrong thing. You may deeply trigger somebody, or you may hurt somebody, and you can't just set it and forget it. You can't just be like, oh well, whatever, we've known each other for 5 years, they know I didn't mean it. No, you have to go back and do the repair if you want it to stay a healthy relationship. All right, I think you get my point on that one. And number eight, which is supposed to be my final one, because you never know if I keep going, but anything is possible. Anything is possible. And I say that not just because in my early years, I never thought I was going to find deep, true love. And I did. Like, who knew? But also, second piece of this, anything is possible, is like we got married on June 19th. And at that time, it was not a federal holiday. And now it is. Who knew that the day that we got married was going to turn into a federal holiday? So that in and of itself is like, oh my gosh, what's possible here, right? But the other thing this brings up for me is, I'm deeply passionate about our freedom, our individual freedom, our collective freedom, our freedom to roam, our freedom to love ourselves, our freedom to be who we are every minute of the day, wherever we show up, and our freedom to be ourselves and not conform to what somebody else wants us to be. And for me, my hesitancy around marriage really had to do around my concern that somehow freedom would be lost, or my wings would be clipped, or that things would be different, or that I would have to be different. And what I love about the fact that our anniversary is now on this like beautifully significant day of freedom for all in this country, the US, it also signifies that no matter your commitment to somebody else or something else or an organization or whatever, that you are always free. You are always free in your heart, and let that lead you, and let you never forget that you have all the power within. Now, this podcast is, I'm all about that intersection of our personal growth leading to our professional breakthroughs. And, When it comes to my relationship with my husband, it absolutely holds true here. And I want to share with you that it really wasn't long ago that I was putting everything into my business and it felt rudderless. And I was becoming demoralized and it was just getting really hard. It was really becoming a slog. And what I realized is that the biggest unlock for my business wasn't going to be about fixing some business strategy or adjusting some marketing tactic, but that actually the work I really had to do was to address another part of my life that needed some watering and some tending. And I realized that Ryan and I had to have some big heart to hearts related to patterns that were impacting both of us, quite frankly. And I can say that I know for a fact that by addressing this personal piece that is obviously like the biggest piece of my life, that professional breakthroughs have occurred as a result, not just in activity or results, but more of my approach to my work. Like my internal operating system has shifted because I've been willing to look at the personal side of my life as where the real unlock needs to start. And I think that's something that when my clients come to me, they don't always get it at first, because clients come to me and they're like, oh, I really want to like fix this like job career thing. I'm miserable. I'm overwhelmed. Like I hate it. Like I feel stuck, all this stuff. And then they're surprised that we end up talking about like other things in some of those early sessions. But then they realize, oh, right. I can't compartmentalize myself. The stuff that's happening in my personal life is what I bring to my work, and that impacts everything. So sometimes we start on the professional side and see what's there to unlock and what's there to kind of adjust, whether it's our mindset or whether it's our actions or whether it's our thought patterns, or sometimes we have to start with the personal side and say like what's happening over here, and is it heavy, and is it working or is it not working, and how's that impacting you, and how is that impacting how you show up. So I'm excited to open the door a little bit for you to see a little bit more about the history with my husband, Ryan Melliker, who is my rock. He is my constant. And I need that deeply because me, I'm an emotional roller coaster. So he is my foundation. Yeah. I can't put it into words right now, but I hope that by hearing a little bit about our dynamic and hearing about the lessons that I've learned because of our dynamics, I hope that something has maybe started to shift for you. Maybe you have an aha. Maybe you have a little bit of an unlock. Maybe you have a little bit more clarity about something you need to take action on. I'd love to hear about it if you do. And if you got something from this episode, please feel free to share it with somebody else that you love that might need to hear these messages. And also, please like, rate, review, follow on whatever platform you're listening to. That helps make everything more visible to more people. So I appreciate you listening. And more so, I appreciate that you're willing to hang in there and find out what you need to look at in a deeper way, because I know that that's going to do so much for you and your trajectory. And if there's anything I can do, again, please feel free to reach out. You can find my information in the show notes. And happy Juneteenth. And to Ryan, if you're listening, happy anniversary. I love you so much. And to you who's listening, thank you for tuning in. I'm wishing you all the best in what you want for your relationships and the longevity of the relationships you have. All right, until next time, thanks for tuning into the Unlock Lab, and ciao for now.